Hello and welcome to another video on how you can safely unwrap optionals. In this video, we want to have a look at functions with optional parameters. So we want to look at functions, right, that have a parameter which is optional. So for example, our number as an optional integer. And let's just pretend we want to do something with the value of this optional integer. So we want to do something with the value inside of this box. And what this says, of course, is that, well, if we want to use the value of our box, then of course we have to unwrap our box at first, right? Because as a parameter, we have an optional. So somehow we have to unwrap and get our value out of this box. And well, there are a few methods on how you can do this. We've actually just learned about some of them. Like we can just use an if-let statement and set number 2 to the value inside of our box if it's possible, right? And then inside this if-let block, we would just use the value, which is now stored in number 2, inside of our number box. And perfect. We have just managed to use the value inside of our box. So, well, it's not actually perfect because if you look closely at this code, then you would see that, well, the only way we can use the number 2 is actually just inside this if-let block. Right, so if we want to try to use our number 2 here, so if we want to try to print it, then what will happen is we would get use of unresolved identifier number 2, which says that number 2 is restricted to this block. Right, so we can only use number 2 inside of this block. So if we look at this function and we want to do something with the value inside of our box, then we pretty much just want to have code inside of this if-let, right? Because we want to use the value. So we would write all our code inside of this if-let block. But well, right, we can do this, but this really is just because look at this double semicolon here, and it just adds more complication and mess to our code. And so because of that, we can also do something else, which is pretty similar to what we are doing here, just we can say the reversed option. So we would say, instead of if, we would say guard let number 2 equal to number. Again, the same principle, but there's a major difference because instead of opening an area, and here we can use our number 2, we say else return, and we can use our number 2 after this curly brace. So again, this is the same thing as with the if-let statement, just that we do it the other way, right? We say if this is true, well then, perfect, then we can assign a value to number 2 and we can use it. So you can just like pretend this is just a declaration of number 2, which we can then use because we have declared it inside of this function, right? And if this fails, so if we can't get anything out of this, then of course we would just return nothing. And what this return does is just that it says just get out of this function. And well, this is just perfect, right? Because we want to use the value inside of our box if it has one. If it doesn't, then well, we can just do nothing with this function. So this guard just beautifully checks if we have something, and if we don't, then we also won't do anything with it and just get out of this function. Thank you very much for watching.